Howdy, hey, hello, it's McKenna, and this is Munch and Mingle. You guys, we are more than halfway through this social media challenge, and if only you could see my setup right now. My interface, the thing I use to record, is holding on by literally a thread. I'm recording this and there's a family birthday dinner that's happening in like 20 minutes. Of course, I would be recording right now. So if you start hearing a lot of noise, that's everyone getting here, but I'm going to try to move quickly. I just wanted to make sure that we had an episode in the middle of the summer. It's been a lot. And if you've been doing the social media challenge, I did not want you to think you were just out here doing it by yourself, because I'm here with you in it. We are going to talk a little bit about that, but I am going to talk about finally birth number 3, baby Briggs. I promised, or I told you guys that I would be talking about it. And I realized the other day I was telling someone about it. And when I recounted the story, the person I was talking to was like, I can't believe you didn't call the hospital. I was like, yeah, that would have been a good idea. And then I left and I was like, wait, I did call the hospital before we came in. And I realized, oh my gosh, I better go do this episode because I'm forgetting already the the ordeal of that day. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about this challenge. And if you haven't already yet, what to do when you hit the wall, because this is the 3rd year I'm doing this. And here we are again, middle of the challenge, always hitting the wall with life. Before we go any further, let me grab this. Our munchie. This is such a good munchie. I know I say that about everything, but this is a new one. This is from a girl that was selling this munchie at our farmer's market here in Highland. And she's on Instagram. Her name's Kennedy. Her business is called Bread and Butter, and she does sell sourdough. So shout out Kennedy, but she also sells this granola. Something as great as just granola has changed my life. I've got it in this giant bag. I've already gone through 4 bags of this because it's that good. But basically in it, she's got some organic oats. Okay, it's the glyphosate-free oats. Pumpkin seeds, almond butter, coconut oil, pecans, honey, vanilla, cinnamon, salt. I don't even put it on yogurt. I just eat it plain. It's that good. Definitely go pick some up if you want to go meet Kennedy. She's usually at the farmers markets in Highland Thursday night during the summer. But if not, she does have an Instagram and you can order from her on there for pickup, and she is just a gem. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into baby Briggs. We did end up naming him Brigham, but we just call him Briggs. We kept on with the B trend. We had planned that name from before we even got pregnant. It's really easy to do that though. When you just decide on one letter, your list becomes pretty simple to pick from. Little tidbit, if you're having a baby and you want to keep everyone updated without having to send a million group chats or continually answering group chats, you're going to make a note. Now, I just did this on my iPhone, but like in your little notes app, you're going to make a note and we just titled ours like Baby Hogan Timeline, and send that out to your various group chats or whatnot. And basically, once they have that link, you can just go in and update your note, like what's going on. Then people can jump in and can see that as it's actively like being added on. So you're not constantly being bombarded with text. Don't know if we even talked about everything before we got pregnant with Briggs. I'm pretty sure you guys knew we did want another baby, especially after Bo. But everything was good. They just said, hey, you got to wait at least 18 months. And so we had planned, let's see if we can get to 2 years just to really make sure my body got its proper healing. And right on the dot, 18 months, we were pregnant. So we were pregnant and super excited. I was pretty good right in the beginning. And then at about, was it 6 weeks? It was right after I found out I was pregnant. And that was crazy. I took 4 pregnancy tests. I can't remember if I tell you guys this, but yeah, the first 3 were all negative, and I had a missed period for up to a week that I had taken those 3 tests in between that. So I was like, okay, something's wrong. Like I found out 3 days after my missed period that I was pregnant with Baker, 1 day after with Bo. So the fact that I had taken 3 in the span of 4 or 5 days I was like, and they're all negative. Okay, I'm not pregnant. So we got to day 10. My little app had told me, if you're pregnant, like give yourself a full week before you start deeming anything else is wrong, because your period can be off. So we had got to day 10 and I was so irritated because I was like, Kate, is there something wrong with me now? Like, where's my period? And it's not a baby. What's going on? So I was like, we are taking one more test. And if not, I'm calling the doctor tomorrow and we are getting in because something's wrong. I took the test like day 10, in the night, which you're technically not supposed to do. They always tell you take it in the morning. That's when everything is at its highest peak level to detect the pregnancy. And that test came back so fast. It was the fastest result I've ever gotten, and I was pregnant. But I got sick pretty early on, and it was pretty brutal. I remember talking to you guys about that. It was really hard with the 2 older boys, just because at this time also Britt had started going to the academy for fire. So he was gone, 4 full days a week. And I just remember I would just be laying on the couch and I'd have to close all the doors, make sure everything was locked down, and I would just turn on the TV and I would just let the boys run havoc around me because I just had no energy. I was so nauseous. It was awful. Got through that, got into second trimester. I was feeling good. And I was like, okay, great. We're out of the woods now. And started getting a lot of that. I felt like, that nesting energy that we love, second trimester bliss, all of that. But I noticed very quickly I started losing my energy again. And this would, I think I was only halfway through my second trimester before I started losing my energy again. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm getting gypped. I'm supposed to have the full second trimester. It usually doesn't start till the beginning of third trimester that I really start getting weighed down. And at this point, I was convinced. I was like, I think I'm further along. It's been off, obviously, with the pregnancy test. I think I'm further along. I felt already heavier. And so I was like, there's got to be something going on. But all the doctors at the time were telling me like, nope, you're right on schedule. You're measuring right on schedule. Everything's good. At this point, I actually was having a really hard time with the OB I was going to. And so I decided, I was like, I need to go back to my old OB in Provo, Dr. Dabbling. She helped me a lot with Bo. And so I called them and I was like, I need to get in. And I remember it was like, okay, she's got like a 4-week out waiting period. And I said, great, put me on. Like, I'm coming to Dr. Dabbling. Oh, because we were all very nervous. I had to make it past week 27 because that's when everything happened with Bo. So they were just wanting to make sure I was going to make it past that and how my body was going to react. So they were checking for that and everything was good. He hadn't, I'm like forgetting everything. This is good. I'm doing this now. He hadn't dropped yet. At one point I had woken up in the middle of the night and I had felt like, this is going to sound really weird. It's like you're walking and it feels like something is literally just sitting there between your legs. So my mother-in-law is the one, she took me to the hospital and we got it checked. And at that point, I think I was only just about to start third trimester, I believe. And they checked and they're like, he's not head down yet. He's horizontal, but you are already dilated to a 3. And I was like, what? What does that mean? And she's like, well, it doesn't mean you're having a baby today. It could be tomorrow. It could be a couple weeks though. And you're like, oh, okay, that's not necessarily what you want to hear. And I'm just now in pain at this point. Like, what? And we still have to go a whole nother trimester. Okay. Somewhere between there, that's when I was switching doctors. They checked me. He now was head down, but I had not dilated further. I was still at a 3. So at this point, I had started now seeing Dr. Dabbling regularly. She's like, yeah, you've got a really big baby. And he is very low. So I expect him, if he's not coming sooner, I expect him to come fast whenever he does. That's a key point to remember. So she ended up stripping my membranes a week before we were going to get induced because she was nervous just where he was measuring and how low he was, that she's like, you know what? Just for your safety, he's gonna be pretty big. So she had stripped my membranes. Not a great feeling for anyone wondering. Not terrible though. She's like, just keep watching. If anything's going to happen, it would happen within like the next 2 days. At that point, it was actually in 2 days that I lost my mucus plug. So that was kind of cool, kind of scary, because then the waiting game just intensified more. But it was weird because while I lost a big chunk of my mucus plug, and I'm so sorry, these words are the worst at describing. So if you're already like creeped out, I know. And if you've never had a baby, it's probably even more terrifying or worse to hear this. But I had lost basically the mucus plug. But then I continued to lose even more parts of it further on, like past that initial day. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is just the craziest pregnancy all around. I had originally been thinking and toying with the idea that I did want to try to go without an epidural, only because my experience with Baker, as we know, it ended up stopping in the middle of it. And I dilated to a 10 so fast with Bo that I felt like, I made it through that pain. Maybe I can do it without, just because I did not want to have to get that dang needle in the back again. So I started watching a bunch of videos, breathing techniques, whatnot, that I was like, I'm just going to go in assuming I'm going to go without an epidural and then see how far I can get, which honestly I think is the best way to prepare for any pregnancy, even if you are planning on getting an epidural, because sometimes you might not be able to get an epidural, as you were about to hear. So it is good to just plan for that. We had scheduled my induction to be April 26th, which was a Friday. And I was really big about that date because April 25th is mine and Britt's anniversary and April 27th is his birthday. So I was like, okay, 26, it's got to happen. And when they had stripped my membranes and whatnot, I said, if it's not happening this weekend, like, you're holding out then, bud, until the 26th. There were two stipulations. One, with his pregnancy that I was, trying to have Briggs understand. One, you're not allowed to come on mom and dad's anniversary. And two, you're not allowed to come when dad's on shift. Both of those requests were not met. And it's okay. I still love him dearly. But it was just like, of course, try to make a deal with your baby. And he's like, what up, mom? Let me show you who's boss. April 25th, I'm going to go through the timeline. It was Britt's second day on shift. He was going to come home in the morning of the 26th. And I was ready. They said they were going to call me on the night of the 25th to get our time of when to come in, right? And, here's the critical part. We had this crazy thing with insurance, but basically we found out, thank heavens, that when I went to go get that whole, when I had to run to the hospital with my mother-in-law because I felt like there was something between my legs, we found out at that appointment that my insurance didn't cover me through IHC hospitals. Instead, it was Mountain Star. And thank heavens I figured that out, because I would have gone to this hospital and totally figured out that I wasn't covered under it. So that was a huge blessing. So we were set, if you live in Utah County, we were going to go to Timpanogos Hospital. And that is about 25 minutes from where we live. Now we are literally seated in between two hospitals, one in Lehigh and one in American Fork. And I couldn't go to either of those. So it was like, okay, we're going to Timpanogos. So that made me feel a little bit better being induced, knowing like, okay, we're going to get there on time and where we need to go because we'll have it planned. And at this point, every other appointment I'd gone to, Briggs was not moving. So I was like, okay, we're set. So the night of April 24th, I was just, starting to get into that nesting period, wanting to be like, hey, what other chores or things can I do before we get ready to go have this baby? And I decided to clean the outdoor, like our garage fridge. I was like, I'm just going to sit here and clean this. Like, I sat on a chair, you guys. I was so careful. I was not exerting any kind of strength, really, because I was like, you got to be careful, dude. So I was feeling great. That night when I was going to bed, I had the worst back pains. And this has happened before. I was like, oh my gosh, should I really exert myself that badly? Really? Like, I was so careful when I was doing that chore today. So I just chalked it up to that. It was the worst sleep I had had this entire pregnancy. I kept waking up. It was so painful to even like turn. I had to keep getting up to use the bathroom too, because you guys, he's literally like lounging on my bladder. So every time I'd have to get up, I was just grimacing in pain. Walking was terrible. All of this had been in pain already for like, especially the third trimester. So I was just like, hey, yep, it's just another hard night and I'm in pain because I guess I somehow exerted myself doing that cleaning yesterday. So at about 4 a.m., I went from my bed to our recliner. Again, totally normal. This was my routine, like for the past couple of weeks, just because your body would just get so tired of trying to be like laying down that I was like, I just need to go sit in a chair. At about, like 4 in the morning, I started feeling what I was like, oh, Braxton Hicks. Now, a couple days before in the past week, I had some Braxton Hicks already. So it wasn't anything for me to be concerned about. And every time I had those, they always went away. So I was like, it's not contractions. So this one, we had our yoga ball downstairs. So I just hurried, laid over on it on my stomach, breathed through it like I had learned in those YouTube videos. And within 10, 15 minutes, they were gone. So I was like, yep, Braxton Hicks. So I then went to the couch where I'm still kind of sitting up and my legs are up on the ottoman and I'm in and out of sleep. Now, this is our anniversary again, right? So at about 6 a.m., I hear my phone buzz and I heard that he had sent through a message. So I knew it was Britt and I was like, he's saying good morning. He usually always does that on shift and it's our anniversary. So he's probably sending like a message. And I was like, yep, I'll text him back. We usually get the boys up at 7. So I was like, give me a couple more minutes, then I'll go text him back. I'm drifting off back into that half awake, half sleep. And I wish I had a video podcast for this moment because I'm going to try to describe this. So if I'm kind of lounged back, right? It's as if inside me, Briggs karate kicked all of a sudden, but I guess he was head down. So it would have been like a boom punch out the birth canal. Like it literally felt like that punching action that something kind of like pushed out. And it was the most craziest sensation. I shot up and I wasn't doing anything, you guys. I was just sitting there. I was laying there. So it's even crazier that just happened all of a sudden. So immediately I like shot up with it and I was like, what was that? Oh my gosh, what was that? And it was as if my body knew exactly what was going on. Well, it did, obviously. But my mind was like, whoa, hold on. No, nothing's wrong. But my body was already getting me up and taking me to the bathroom. It was the weirdest out of body experience because my mind's like, what? No, that seems like that could have been something, but we don't want it to be something because today's April 25th. And that is the day we're not having a baby. So I go to the bathroom. And immediately, that was the other thing. When I stood up, I expected like, hey, if that was my water breaking, I should have a huge gushing out because that's what happened with Bo. Nothing of that happened. So I just go to the bathroom. And here's the other weird thing. Because Briggs is on my bladder, I could go to the toilet and then go again 5 minutes later and it would be like normal. So when I go to sit on the toilet, I assume like, hey, I'm going to go pee. Nothing came out. And I was like, weird. Like I haven't used the bathroom for a couple hours now. So that was the first sign, like weird. I stood up and there's something in the toilet. Sorry, that sounds really bad. It's not a baby, but it's like a bunch of green mucus. What this, I believe, was meconium. If you go look up meconium, that's basically like baby poop. And they're usually not supposed to be pooping inside you. But what happens if that does happen, it's really dangerous because your baby can ingest it. Obviously, you don't want to have that in your baby. So your body is trying to get your baby out. My body was like, it's time to go, McKenna. Like we need to get Briggs out, which I am so grateful for my body. My body has now done this twice with Bo and now with Briggs when it's like, this is a dangerous situation. We need to get this baby out right now. So shout out body, high five, because you're incredible. You have saved 2 of my babies and I'm so grateful. However, I did not know that at the moment. I can say that now, but immediately it starts to set in like, okay, oh my goodness, something's happening. I call Britt. Remember, he had sent me a text about this is 6:25 in the morning. He answers the phone. Love him. And he goes, happy anniversary, sweetie. Like so excited that I'm calling him on the morning of because we usually didn't do that when he's on shift. And so immediately I'm like, you need to come home. And he's like, what? And I was like, Britt, something happened. I think I think the baby's coming today. And he's like, wait, what? And I can hear him start like, he's starting to grab things. And I was like, I don't know. And I start to like backtrack. I was like, no, okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you don't need to come. Just this happened. I felt this. And now there's this thing in the toilet and it looks like mucus, but it's not. And all of a sudden I feel this super low, like deep pain in my pelvis. And I kind of just like, whoa. And I stopped and I was like, nope, you need to come home. You need to come home. I don't know what just happened. You need to come home. I don't know if that was Briggs dropping further into the birth canal. I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. Like it didn't hurt yet, but it was enough to make me stop and be like, what just moved? Something moved. So I got off the phone with him. Thank the good Lord above. My mother-in-law was planning to take Friday off. So the 26th, because she knew that's when we were getting induced. She had a thought because I had already had those weird like Braxton Hicks, labor pains, whatever, before. She had a feeling to stay home this day. So she was at the gym and I knew that. The next call I made was to her. And again, thank heavens, she decided to go to the gym that was only 2 minutes away from our house, not the other one that's like, I don't know what, 7-8 minutes away. And she said she had walked into this gym and she was like, why did I come here? This is so crowded. Why did I not go to the other one? As soon as she had that thought, her phone's ringing and it's me. And I'm on the phone. I was like, Tamara, you need to come home right now. I think the baby's coming. After I hung up the phone with her, I was like, okay, I had my bag ready, but I need to get, out of my pajamas and I need to get my contacts in. All of a sudden, because I had been on I'd kind of been standing up. I go to move to put my contacts in. And all of a sudden I get another of that weird, low, deep pelvic pain. And now it's like a little bit harder. It hurts a little bit more. And it was like I had this weird moment, like you have one decision, contacts or putting clothes on. And I was like, I gotta go put the clothes on. Sorry. And I was so sad because I didn't want to have my glasses on, but here we are. I don't have clothes picked out. I just grabbed the dress that I wore the day before. It's in my dirty clothes, grabbed it, threw it on. No bra, nothing. We are just going. I was like, we just need to get to a hospital. So I get out into my living room and immediately contractions. Here we go. They start. So I run to the yoga ball and I lay over it on my stomach. If this is the only thing you hear, those of you out there who are pregnant, if you ever start, your water breaks and you're in like active labor at home or even at the hospital, get a yoga ball and lay over on it on your stomach. It doesn't completely take away the pain, but it is the one position that can just help you not feel like completely 100% in pain. It's just a very good supportive position. So this was me. And as I'm in between contractions, I'm typing on that note. So I have right here like 6:25 a.m. water broke, 6:30 a.m. contraction start. At that point, I'm sending this note out to the group chats and it's there. At this point, my mother-in-law gets home. She comes down and immediately I'm having a contraction again. And she's like, oh my gosh. And I just say, Tamara, I need you to put your hands on my back. I need you to like counter pressure, push on the lower back. So she did. And that helped, thank heavens. I think she was downstairs for 2 contractions and they were already 4 minutes apart, you guys. That is too soon. And she even was like, okay, this baby's coming if they're that close. So she's like, we got to get upstairs. Britt's coming home. We got to get upstairs so you can get in the car. So I was like, okay, as soon as this contraction's over, as soon as it's over, I'm like, hey, get up. And I told her, like, I need you to grab my shoes. I've got to get up these stairs. Immediately walking up those stairs, I felt so much pain. It's like I kickstarted the next contraction by those stairs. I swear it. So I get to the top. I immediately hit the couch. I'm like leaned over again on my knees. I'm like, this is not good. These are coming too fast. It is PTSD all over again, just like I had with Bo. And I was like, hold on, here's the problem though. I am 25 minutes away from my doctors. I need and I'm starting to go through my head, do I just go to one of those hospitals that's close? Because I'm about to have this baby. My contractions are this close and I'm feeling this much pain. I'm about to have this baby. Thankfully, Britt comes home I think I had 2 contractions upstairs. And at this point, they're about 3 minutes apart. Because I'm in the middle of a contraction when he gets home, he just runs downstairs, grabs the hospital bags, knew where they were, and just threw them in the car. Then he helps me out to the car. At one point, I was going to sit in the back of our van just to kind of kneel over onto one of like the captain's chair in that second row. I don't think we made it out of the driveway before I was like, nope, this is too unstable. I can feel everything through the ground. It's not helping me. So I just had to sit on one of those chairs back there. We're driving and they are just ramping up, you guys. It is full on mental power at this game or at this time. I had no urge to push. Thank heavens. I knew that was the only thing. As long as I didn't have the urge to push, it didn't mean he was coming yet. So it was just the mental of like, you've got to work through these contractions. And every in between the contraction, I'm not yelling. I'm just really strongly urging Britton to drive as fast as he can. We may have run some red lights. He may have hit 100 on the freeway, but that's okay. So in the timeline, I remember writing this in the car, 6:50 a.m., headed to hospital, prayers needed, because I am losing it. I'm like, how are we going to make it in 25 minutes? We made it in 13 minutes, you guys. And they were 2 minutes apart when we got to the hospital. So getting out of the car, I was like, okay, here we go. I mean, we got front row parking. It was great. We walked right in. I felt so bad in the waiting room because they had at Timpanogos, you walk in, there's a lobby, and then there's 2 doors that you have to go like buzz in to get into labor and delivery. Right then I have a contraction. There is a sweet old man who's just sitting there in the lobby watching me as I literally like hunch over on a chair, like like heavy breathing as I'm trying to get through this contraction. And I'm like, hey, we're here, but now like it's really hurting. We get through and immediately we walk up to the front desk and I do the same thing. I just hit the desk and I'm like, hold over, and the nurse goes, all right, we need a wheelchair right now. Like they can tell. So we did it. I had called the hospital, but that was like at like 6:30. And at that point, it was more adrenaline. The contractions really hadn't started to kick in. They had just started, but weren't this bad. They knew I was coming, but I don't think I made it seem like it was that big of a deal. But they wheel me off into room. I am not being able to talk at this point. Like now, I think they were almost a minute apart. So I am just trying to do everything I can to just like breathe and like try to coherently be in this moment without totally dying. I'm able to get myself into the bed. And they bring a doctor in immediately and they get me checked. And they're like, hey, you're 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. I was like, there's no way. This baby is here. I know it. I am in so much pain. And so they ask right away, like, so do you want an epidural? And of course I'm like, yes, immediately. But in the span that they like say like, okay, she's getting the epidural. I watch the doctor leave. I'm watching them all get ready. It's like my mind went through 20 thoughts within like 2 seconds. It felt like I know that they have to go get that epidural. We have to wait for the anesthesiologist. Then the anesthesiologist has to come in, has to then get me all prepped. Then I have to actually get the epidural. Then I have to wait for it to set in. I'm like, we're talking, that could be a good 20, 30 minutes, y'all. There is no way I'm waiting. There's no way, because I'm like, I feel this. And this is the beauty of watching all those like videos on YouTube when you're planning to go without medication. They tell you time and time again, you as the mom, and hello, baby in your body, no one knows when that baby is ready to come but you. And that's literally what I felt in this moment. Like my mind and my body were sinking finally, because it felt like they had been just disconnected this whole morning. No, it is time to have this baby. And in an instant that I had that thought, I felt the urge. It just came immediately, like it's time to push. And I looked to the nurse, like I had just told them, like it felt like just seconds ago. And I looked to her and I said, I need to push. And she kind of like did a double take and she's like, wait, what? And I was like, I am going to push. And I turned away, like I was looking at her. I turned away and I just started pushing. And Britt was right there. And I just pushed. And he immediately was like, you saw Brig's head. I was crowning already. So I don't know. I still to this day don't know how I went from an 8 centimeters and was able to then the baby was here getting out. I mean, I guess you can still be 8 with crowning. I don't know. But I was just like, no, my body's ready to give birth. So she like ran, grabbed the doctor, and bless him, Dr. Buckner, is that his name? Yeah. Comes right back in. Okay, are we ready to have a baby? Like just was totally like, yep, let's do this. I start pushing. But yeah, this is where my nurse thinks in that one push, I went to a 10. But how do you explain this? Unless you've given birth without medication, I don't know what other way to put it other than it was extremely painful. I thought I had prepared enough, but I didn't. But I also know this baby was huge. And I do think my body was still in the stress mode of fight or flight because there was meconium. And so it was like going even faster and harder. And I don't know if he got stuck. Something happened. Like it was just a constant. The contractions were not dipping, going, like stopping, going. It was a full on contraction. I know it was that ring of fire. Like it was just a constant stinging pain. And I was just losing it. So at this point, and shout out to Britt, he was just a rock through this whole thing. I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember he was right there by me the whole time, trying to talk me through it. And I was just like losing it. Finally, whatever happened, the nurse saw I think he was stuck or something. She moves Britt out of the way. She goes, Britt, I'm sorry. She moved to where my leg was. Cause if you're ever giving birth, your knees are kind of up. She grabbed my leg and like pulled it out straight and then like cocked it back in. That's the only way I could say it. And I think another nurse did it to my other leg at the same time. I think whatever that movement did, it got actual movement happening and the floodgates opened, y'all. My eyes were closed, but I felt it. And Britt told me. And this is why I'm so grateful. No one else was in that room other than these medical professionals. But it was just, it was like a tidal wave. A lot of fluid came out of me. And I thought, is he out yet? And I think it got half of him out. Like I think his head was out, but not the shoulders. So they did it one more time, that same motion. And it like loosened it out. There was more floodgates open and Briggs was here. It was within 5 minutes, y'all. The longest 5 minutes of my life. He got here at 7:17. So remember that my water broke at 6:25 and he was born at 7:17. Oh, I'm seeing all my cute little baby pictures that I put on there because you can do that on the note too, you guys. It's seriously the best idea. But he was a chunk. He was 8'12", 20.5 inches. So yeah, he was huge and love him. But that is the story. I'm very grateful that we did not have to give birth in the car because I for sure thought that was happening. He was my healthiest baby thus far. He did not have to go to the NICU while both Baker and Bo, of course, did. How is the transition going? Well, I am loving having a newborn. I honestly am. With Baker, and I this is a shout out to all first-time moms. It's so hard when it's your first baby because you're in a constant state of like, this is all new. And I remember with Baker, I was just constantly wanting to be out of the newborn phase, wanting to get to that toddler stage. And then with Bo, I felt gypped out of that newborn stage because for almost 3 months he was in the NICU. Now I still got to bring him home kind of like at a newborn, but it was different. I had a baby for almost 3 months at that point, but not home with me physically. So I have just been relishing in this newborn stage with Briggs. Having another baby, having a newborn this time, it really isn't hard, but trying to juggle his specific schedule with the two older boys, that has been hard. We had it set because Baker and Bo are so close in age. They basically are twins. So we have the same schedule for them. So trying to juggle them with now a newborn who, we obviously have a sleep routine that we're building with him. It is hard. Recovery after Briggs, definitely painful. Getting his sleep schedule down has been one of the hardest. With Baker, anything was just a light after that first month of not sleeping with Baker. And then with Bo, they basically helped me with the sleep schedule. They did the same schedule that I do at home in the NICU. So he was probably the easiest to get a schedule on. But it's been hard. It's been hard with Briggs because when you have two sleeping through the night, you're just wanting to push the newborn faster. And that's not fair. And I really realized that wasn't fair to Briggs. He is a straight up, he's a newborn. That's not fair. They need a lot of sleep. So I laid off and I just was like constantly like, give him time. And he really has come around. So y'all know how I feel about a good sleep schedule. And I still stand by BabyWise. I am using it currently and I've seen amazing things with it. I believe in the past I've said like, oh, it's sleep training. It's not as much as it really is sleep routining. It has helped me to keep a level head through everything with Briggs and the boys and to be able to troubleshoot so many things faster with him. Last week, I caught him immediately as he was about to get sick and I took him into the doctors and he even was like, yeah, you're kind of ahead. Like he is getting sick, but it's going to be a virus thing. Like it's not an ear infection or whatnot. So we'll just have to sit this out, you guys. I gave him some Tylenol. Don't worry. Doctors allowed me to, just to help him sleep. Cause you could tell he was just restless. He was achy. He's about to get a fever. Y'all, he slept through the night and was not sick. Like anything of that fever that was coming completely dissipated. And I know that's because we have been working on the sleep schedule with him, and his body knows how to sleep now, that he was able to sleep whatever was about coming on off. It's incredible. And I will seriously talk more about that as we get through it, because I'm just so passionate. But there we go. That is Briggs, the beauty, the baby that he is. But now let's talk about this challenge and the wall that I, and probably you, have inevitably hit. And it's the third time I've done this challenge, and still I'm hitting it. July is always the month that just seems like the hardest of this whole summer challenge. But without diving too far into specifics, because I still am kind of in the middle of a lot of these things, as well as like those people who are with me in it. It has been, for lack of better words, freaking hard. And I'm laughing, but really I'm crying, because oh my goodness, life is just so hard sometimes. And sometimes you just get hit with these things, and you sometimes have to just sit in it and deal with it. And it sucks. Whatever your heart is, just know you are not alone. And each summer I've been faced with these new wall hitting moments, these challenges to overcome, whether within myself or alongside those I love. But man, it's hard. I don't want to forgo, there have been some great things that have come with this challenge. I have been having some amazing social reconnects with some of my most favorite people that I haven't been able to have in a while. A lot of my friends have either moved out of state or we've just gotten super busy, and I've been able to see a lot of them already this summer, like more than any of my past summers, which is awesome. And I love them. And it's just been a healing balm. The boys, oh my goodness, the boys. Baker is swimming, y'all. Like, I know he was doing his float, he was getting his float on, but he is now jumping into the pool. He's moving around and he's loving it. And that, above all, I mean, that has been a constant, like, we've been working towards that since before. I mean, he was 6 months when we started, and now he's 3 and he's swimming, and it's just, and he loves it. So it's so great. Bo is in the floating and kind of still crying stage, but he's just about to start drying his practice jumps and his practice slides into the pool. So ready for that. Definitely pray for us, because it's one of the hardest parts of this whole thing, but it's so worth it. Now that I have Baker, I'm hoping that's going to help me through Bo's, because I can now see out on the other side of it. Both Baker and Bo are obsessed with all things letters, numbers, colors, everything. And that has made our days so much fun because of just their genuine interest, not only in that, just in life around them. So each day is so much fun because they just give so much excitement to everything around them, which just makes my day great. And then Briggs. Oh, I mean, I just told you about him. He is just the chunkiest baby, but you guys, he is the happiest baby you have ever seen. I just love it. I just love my smiley babies. And then Britt, you guys, I love him. And I know he's listening. Britt, I love you. He is in the thick of it right now with his own battles. And yet he continues to show up as a husband and a father 24/7. And I'm just in awe, and I'm so grateful. And I love you. I love you, Britt. I've also been able to find my purpose again as a mom and as a wife, just because after postpartum, you're in that fog of just trying to get out of it. And so coming back to, you're just like, whew, okay. And then finally, y'all, your girl's losing a few pounds, a few lbs. Okay, it's definitely not where I need to be. But we're close. We're close to a good halfway point. That's just been a whole journey in and of itself that we'll still for sure talk about, because I do have some issues with food coming from the girl who eats on her podcast every episode. I am officially back to pre-pregnancy weight before Baker. That's huge. Now, I was overweight before I got pregnant with Baker. So like I said, it's a great starting point. We still got some work to do, and we're right in the thick of it, but it's good. We're seeing progress, which is important. Okay, the hard. Remember how we talked about social media? It is a great tool to avoid life. Okay, it's not all bad, but it can be used for bad. And well, what inevitably happens when you take the avoidance tool away, you are going to be smacked with reality, and you're going to be smacked hard. And all that you've been trying to avoid is just going to be like shoved right up there in your face. So I actually found an article. I was just thinking about this, and I was like, there's got to be someone who's done a study on this. Well, there was. And it's one of those really smart articles that I had to read and then have Britt read it and water it down for me because I still could not grasp the concept of it. But there was a study, and I think it's still an ongoing study, that was trying to test what happens to people's brains when using social media and if it was in fact being used as a tool to avoid things. I'm going to put the article in the description, but seriously, y'all need to go read it. And it did find, in fact, that a lot of people have a high dependency on social media so much that they use it so they don't have to deal with the anxiety that comes in life when having to make real life decisions, aka avoiding real life. Because in life, y'all, we have to make decisions. We have to choose. That is kind of the whole reason we're here on earth, is to learn, to choose, to be tested. I'm going to go into a whole sermon, but you get it. Social media, again, I really want to bring that point across. It can be used for good, but when you're using it to run away from your problems or build a fake view of life in your mind, that can be detrimental. So what do we do? What do we do that we are here and you're being faced with reality? You're in the middle of this social media challenge, and what do we do? Well, okay, to be honest, I can't exactly tell you what to do right now because I am in it. I'm right there fighting off this in the middle of the challenge with you. I am aware, I've been made aware that I still am having tendencies to try and run away from it even without social media. And that's been super eye-opening because it just shows me, wow, you really got a pattern that we need to break. So honestly, what I've just been trying to do more, I've just been trying to sit in it. I'm trying to not hide from it. And it still sucks because it's basically like I'm being sat in a chair and being slapped in the face repeatedly. But I'm not living in a constant state of paranoia. I'm not running from the hard. I'm facing it. And in a weird way, it's actually easier. I don't know why. I don't know how, but it is. I'm letting my brain learn how to problem solve and think critically again. It's so easy to forget that life is made up of countless opportunities. My favorite quote was told to me by my mom, and it still is like painted on my heart. But my favorite quote is, life is all about learning to adjust to plan B. And that's so true. In the social media world, it's very much one size fits all. That's how it's painted. If you don't have this, you can't be happy. If you don't look like this, you don't look good. You know, it's very much like that. And being in the in the hard times that we've had these past couple weeks, it's allowed me to realize that if plan A doesn't work out, if it's not the picturesque plan A that I assume is, you know, that one size fit all that I've been shown from social media, if that doesn't work out, you can still find happiness in plan B. And if plan B doesn't work out, you can still find happiness in plan C, and so on and so on and so on. We're so scared to fail. We're so scared to have life consequences from our choices. But you guys, it's okay, because there's always another door. There's always another plan. You're going to be fine. But trying to live up to the expectations that social media sets as the one size fits all, this is the only way that you can achieve happiness and success in this life. No. And not only that, social media has you living in a constant ego. Social media is meant to promote you, to make sure others see you, and to feel noticed by other people. But I just did a whole scripture study on this, you guys, how to have no ego amigo. And yes, I did a study on a reference or on a phrase from a Peloton instructor. Shout out Jess Sims. Apparently there's a pastor out there who did a sermon on this too. Great one. If you just go look it up, it's like No Ego Amigo by the Zoe pastor? I don't know. It was great. It really was fantastic. And it just helped me to see how much I was living in my own ego and pride with all of the problems that we're facing. And I really believe that has stemmed a lot from social media, because what are people going to think of us when they see this? What are people going to see when they see this is how things have turned out for me in my life? No, it's not about other people. It's about those in your life who are more important to you. And more importantly than not, it's okay. It's okay if you don't have the same end result as someone else. It's okay if you got there differently, or if you end up having a completely whole different other turnout than everyone else. Getting off social media might make you see a lot of your own flaws, but without the constant noise of everyone else, you're just going to be able to focus on what is most important to work on in yourself, for yourself, and the people around you who matter the most, you guys, not your friends. I know we already talked about this on my last episode, but I really mean it. You are not alone. Okay. Whatever you're going through, even if you're not on social media, if you're still on social media and you're still just going through a hard time, you are not alone. Okay. Keep going though. Be better. Even if you messed up, there's always another way to still find happiness, and you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. Just remember that. All right. I hear my kids screaming outside, so I'm going to go join the family, but I hope you guys are having a great summer. I hope you are giving yourself some grace and letting yourself rest. I honestly have had some of the best naps of my life this summer. So if that's the only thing you take away from this episode, go and get a nap and then wake up and go make sure this is the best summer for you. But I love you. I will be back and can't wait to hear how the rest of the summer goes for you. Bye.